Okay, so we're back in the tool set now, and we're going to move on to the next step, and that is actual crafting type trade skills. So we're going to create two brand new trade skills here. We're going to fire up the crafting plugin and go File, New Trade Skill. And the next trade skill we're going to create is blacksmithing. And I am going to just cheat here a little bit because I don't want to spend a whole lot of time, or I don't want to waste your time um, practicing and practicing so I can get some successes, which will eventually occur if I keep practicing. But I just want to skip that amount of time that it's going to take for me to actually perform the practices to get my skill up so I can get some more successes. So what I'm going to do is just going to cheat here a little bit and give my little gnome sorcerer with a good charisma some bonuses here at the very beginning. So you'll notice that I'm going to get a lot of successes right at the very beginning with these new trade skills, and that's only because I've gone and cheated my way into that by giving my character bonuses, even though these may not make sense for blacksmithing. But that's the reason behind that. So I'm going to do the same thing for the second one, leatherworking. Just going to, of course, you know, I'm going in a real game, you'd probably put a bunch of thought into, you know, who should get bonuses and who shouldn't, and you know what feats may give bonuses and whatnot. Now you'll also notice that this harvesting type trade skill checkbox is not checked because these are crafting type. So we've created two of those. Now in a harvesting type trade skill, what we would do next is create a placeable object for a person to mine, or to, you know, if it was a botany type thing, a plant or something like that. In crafting type, though, there is no harvesting trade. There is no harvesting resource. It's actually a location that you'll go to perform your crafting, and that's these trade skill stations. So we're going to create two, one for each. Now the blacksmithing one is going to be a forge, and that's going to be assigned to blacksmithing. And the second one is we're just going to create like a leather working bench, and that's going to be associated with leatherworking. So we'll finish. And of course, like all new trade skills, we're going to need a basic trainer to get us going on it. So we're going to create George the trainer, and he's going to be our blacksmithing trainer, and he's going to charge us 30 gold because he's expensive. And blacksmithing 101 book. Yeah, and again, you can call these books whatever you want. If you're not using the books to help players along, remember that you can turn that option off in that configuration at the very beginning. And just a note that if I do have that book part turned off, that book training option turned off in the configuration, this section of nude basic trainers is actually grayed out, so you won't even be able to enter anything in here. And we'll call this leather working 101. Finish. Okay, so we've got our two stations, we've got our two trainers created. So let's have a look at that. We'll bring up our blueprints here. And you'll see we have George the trainer and Charles the trainer. So we're gonna lay these two guys down. We'll lay George right here, and we'll lay Charles right here. There. Now we'll also look under placeables, and we'll see that we have ourselves two trade skill stations. Now the first one is a forge, and the second one leatherworking. They both are, again, like I said before, are created with default settings, so they both will look like this object here, which is not really what we want. So like our items, what we're going to want to do is actually modify the properties of these and change their appearance. So we're going to select the forge, and we're going to actually change that to actually be a forge, like that. And a leather working one, we're just going to change that to be this little craftsman bench here. We'll put that back, and now we're going to lay this forge, and we'll put it right next to George here. And we'll lay our leather working bench right next to Chuck. There you go. So Charles the trainer and George the trainer, they'll each handle their associated stations. Now the only other big difference between a harvesting type trade skill, where we went and mined, you ore or skinned animals, or whatever it is you want to do for a harvesting type trade skill, cut wood out of a tree, whatever, is crafting type trade skills can make many different kinds of items, and your station is where you're going to do that at. Now, in order to create items, you have to tell the system how that's done. You know, what pieces, what ingredients go together to make something. So you have to do that, and how we do that is we create what's called recipes. So the first one we're going to create is based off of one of our previous harvesting trade skills, and that's the mining one. As you recall, we harvested some silver ore from those rocks. So now it's time to use our blacksmithing skill and smelt that ore down into silver ingots. So we're going to have to tell the system that's what we want to do. So we're going to fire up our crafting plugin again, and we're going to select recipes, new recipe. And this recipe we're just going to simply call silver ore ingots. And we're going to give ourselves a skill ID of blacksmithing. This is the station you'll have to use. The difficulty, as described before, is the same thing for recipes. Each recipe can have its own type of difficulty, so we'll say 1 to 20. We're going to create between 2 and 4 ingots when we're successful. We're not going to have any fail items on this, but we are going to have a recipe cost. Now, players don't automatically know how to make everything just because they're good at blacksmithing. This is an extra feature that you'll hand out. Recipes can be obtained by players in several different ways. They can be an item that a player can use and learn. They can talk to a trainer who can teach them how, and you can have a placeable object, maybe a plaque or something that they could read and learn a recipe or two from. When they use a placeable object, or optionally one way of a conversation that they can learn recipes is by launching a special recipe learning GUI, which comes included with the crafting plugin. We'll show you that eventually in one of the videos upcoming. The learning GUI will charge you money if you put a value in here. Now I could put 0 gold in here, and that means all the recipes are going to be free. But I can also put a cost in here so that I can charge players money for each recipe they learn through that GUI. Now remember, we don't have to use the GUI, it's an option, but to make life easy, if we do have an economy type thing in here where we want to charge players for recipes, this is where we're going to put that cost in. We're going to enter that cost per recipe in this box right here. So you'll see that a little bit more as we progress. Now in this recipe, we're going to our successful item is going to be a brand new item, and it's going to be a silver ingot. And our res ref of silver ingot. And we don't have a fail item, but we do have ingredients. Now we don't have to create a new ingredient here because we're going to actually use the silver ore that we harvested from the previous trade skill. So this recipe basically says 1 silver ore gives us a chance to create 2 to 4 silver ingots. So that's what this recipe is all about. So we'll finish, and that recipe is now in the system. So we'll do that, and we also want to do another recipe for our leather. We got ourselves a pelt, so we want to be able to make some leather with that. So let's create another recipe, and this one is going to be a small, low quality leather. And this one uses that leatherworking trade skill. Again, 1 to 20. And we're going to create 1 leather for each success. No fail items, and this recipe is going to cost 10 gold as well. Now, of course, this one is going to be another brand new item. It's going to be a small, low quality leather. Small, low quality leather. And it's going to use a pre-existing ingredient. And that was the small, low quality pelt right here. So in leatherworking, we have a chance to create 1 small low quality leather with that 1 small low quality pelt. Now you'll notice that some people may call this a badger pelt, and that's fine and dandy, you can do that. One tip that you may or may not want to take is because I'm not specifying a particular creature for this small low quality pelt, I can create several different kinds of badger or other animal who can all create this one small low quality pelt. So